On the ones and twos.
That's a good way to start.
I like that. A big man grunt.
Just
Just
like,
sit down.
Oh, bloody hell.
Release that testosterone out of my testicles.
Get it
as I
right
open my
out there.
legs.
Yeah. How you been, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm in a glass case of emotion after a gig
Oh, yeah.
last night, but I'm all right, mate.
All
yeah.
right. What happened last night?
We talked about it briefly, didn't we? Off mic, and I thought I'd save some of it for the for your podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm a comedian of sorts, and I do.
Of sorts. Sort of one.
And last night, I thought I'd see what a crossover from a comedian / bouncer /
How that worked.
Essex fucking lunatic would work out. And,
How did it work out?
well, it ended a comedy night, is what it did. No, I mean, that makes it sound worse than it was. There was just, I run a new act night in Southend.
Yeah.
And it's every week, every Sunday. And it's a lovely little gig. I want to say that first of all, and that's why it's weekly. And it's become a really safe space for comics to... safe space, that sounds so poncy, doesn't it? But just a
It's
nice...
not now.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that there's a real lovely core regular audience that go down there.
Yeah.
And comedy's not like music where you practice until you're good in a basement. You have to go out and do it in front of people, and that's what that gig's there for newer acts and established acts trying new material. So that's the background. This particular week was a bit quiet on numbers, but we still had like a good group.
Mother's Day, wasn't it?
Of course, yeah. So we still had... our core group of regulars, one of which had actually brought their mum with them, which makes the story even more horrendous. So, obviously when there's lower numbers, as the compere, you've got to work a little bit harder to create an atmosphere in a room ready for the acts, and I felt like I'd done that pretty well. They were all well up for it. First act come on and was doing great, and then this woman and her other half or friend or whatever walked in, and they were a bit drunk, and I think they were expecting to come upstairs and play pool, but obviously there's no pool tables. It's comedy. There are pool tables, but they're pushed to the side. And she was just extremely fucking vocal, mate. She made the core mistake that a lot of people tend to do these days, particularly in Essex, I must say. And she had come to a comedy night with her own jokes
To be the main event.
Yeah. She was just really heckly and really abusive to like the first act, and he dealt with it quite well. But he's a new act at the end of the day.
Was it one of his first things he's done, or has he been doing?
No, he's done a few, but he's still. I mean, I'm not really sure how long he's been going. I don't want to do him a disservice, but he's actually very good. I do like his stuff, but he's not been going that long,
Right.
And like comedy's one of them things where. Everyone thinks that heckling's a part of it, and you should be able to, one of the things this woman was saying eventually was, you should be able to deal with it and all the rest of it. And yes, to a degree, you shouldn't have to deal with it, but you haven't got a choice because people still think that heckling
People are cunts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I knew he'd done it. He was trying to get through the rest of his set, and on every pause for breath that he took, this woman was chirping in and just being a toll.
Right.
So I went on and put her in her place. I'm a bit more experienced than the acts on there, and obviously I'm the host. It's my job to do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't attack her personally. I just pointed out
Which she probably deserved.
Yeah, well, I think another comedian might have gone a little bit harder on her, and they would have been justified in doing so actually. But because it's a very small gig and there's not a lot of people in there. You just got to be careful. I don't want to offend anyone.
No.
But I just need her to realise that you've just come in here with your fucking mouth
And your pool cue.
and your pool cue, and you're not going to win. Yeah. So it was basically normal. In an ordinary situation, you go on, you take the piss out of her. I think I said something like, the minute you come off stage, I was like, look, it don't matter. There's only like 7 audience members because this woman's bought a mouth that's the same as 40 people. And then like asked her, I was like, what's your name? Come on. And she's like, I ain't telling you my name because she's just an awkward arsehole. And I'm like, why would you be this much of a dick? Like, you're like, how old are you? Like 40 odd. I bet you've popped out a couple of kids. Why aren't you being more reasonable? Turned to the bloke that she was with, and I was like, what, are you the boyfriend? She was like, no, he's my friend. I was like, well, he can't talk for himself either. Are you her friend? Or does she just see you downstairs? She's like, you will be my friend. You will sit next to me. You will do as you fucking
Getting
told.
paid.
Yeah. And obviously, ordinarily, that obviously sounds a lot more aggressive when you're telling it, out of the fact. But the rest of the audience are laughing. It was in the moment. It was funny. And again, it's not personal. It's just picking on how she was being in that moment. And she weren't happy about it at all, and she just weren't going to let it drop. And it got to a point where I was literally pleading with her, like, please, just just shut up or go, you know. So you're not going to lose any face, but all these people are here to see comedy. These comedians have travelled from Ipswich to come down and perform tonight. Like, I don't think you're going to shut up. I just need you to either shut up or leave, please.
Fuck off.
And she's going, just do your bit, just do your set. And then I just switched and I was like, do you know what? I ain't going to do my fucking set because you tell me to do my set. Because then she's won. So then it was like, look, you either leave or the show's over. And she didn't want to leave. And then her other half threatened to throw a glass at me. And
he's a nice fella then.
And that was the end of
Wait, not other half, friend.
Friend, yeah. I must make that perfectly clear.
Because that's important.
Yeah, he was definitely in the friend zone.
So he threatened to throw... Right. He's not your friend, though.
No.
So he didn't throw a glass at you, but he threatened to.
Yeah,
and
he
then
threatened.
what happened?
And then luckily, a couple of my mates who are also comedians were there. One of the comedians also happened to be a doorman, which we were talking about in the first section. You know, like we were talking about how we used to be a doorman, and I was like, I used to be a doorman, but obviously I'm skinny as hell. I'm like the physique of an 8-year-old boy.
I bet that didn't go well when you were about.
Well, this is what I mean. I've got serious Napoleon syndrome in that, and it's that job that gave it to me.
Well, is that what you really want to be doing?
No, no, mate.
I just think that it's a failed career.
Do you know what it was?
And comedy's a second.
I've got a gift of the gab, right? So it was, I would be sent in to try and talk someone out the door before they grabbed up, because you know, I'm being
special service type thing. Like, you know, like a special segment of bouncer society. They get Rossy.
The pre-cum of the ejaculation from the club. You know what I mean?
Which often is the nicest bit.
Never tried it, to be honest, but of course you have. Everyone's tried their own. So it's taking a fucking turn, mate, isn't it? So yeah, we'd had a conversation about that, and it was basically saying how, like, you know, I'd ask someone to do something like so many times, and then I'd just flip my lid and lose.
And that's it.
Because after, like, you've asked someone to do it 3 times, it's definitely personal now, isn't it? You're saying I'm not doing this because you ain't going to do fuck all about it. So yeah, we'd had this conversation. It was funny, and then obviously that happened.
Yeah. It would be good if you went, my friend's a bouncer, by the way. Yeah. You've got that friend. He's a cunt. I've got a friend that's a bouncer.
I really take it personal, and I shouldn't. And, you know, like I say, in retrospect, I always feel like if you lose your temper, you lose the argument. I did lose my temper. Obviously, no punches were thrown or anything, and it weren't like, you know,
it didn't get to that stage.
No, it didn't get to. It would come very close. So I won't lie. But
disappointed that you reacted, or, you know, but in the moment, you and after that, those people deserved it. Like,
yeah, well, this is what I mean. You know, I asked, like, my best mate was there, Matt Adlington, who's a, you know, fellow comic, and when we were in the car on the way home, I was like, look, be honest, is there anything that's a podcast? Fuck, we must go. Is there anything I could have done differently?
Yeah.
And he was like, well, the outcome would have been the same either way.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter what you say to that type of person.
Yeah, but, you know, if I'm asking, is there anything I could have done to try and diffuse the situation? Maybe I could have gone in at 9 instead of like 12. But this is my point. Like, that, you know, that's obviously my night that I set up. I set it up 6 years ago for me, predominantly to have permanent stage time. But it's become, you know, like a real like a culture with the town. I certainly don't do it for the money, mate. There's no money. It's a free entry gig. There's a bucket at the end, and on a good night it'll be like 50, 60 quid in it. You know, but mostly it's like 20 quid, 15 quid, £7, £2.50.
Yeah, right.
You know, or last night absolutely nothing. I do it for the love of it and seeing new acts, and it's
just giving a platform to people. That's important. Like, people want a platform, so it's great to give it to them.
Particularly them acts last night, they done me a favour. They come down last minute. I had a bit of a booking error, and they was like, yeah, go on, we'll come down. Literally, I called them messaged them at 5, and the gig's at 8, and they come from Ipswich. One of them didn't even get on, and the one that did get on was just heckled throughout most of his set. And I just thought, do you know what? Fuck you. And I'm going to tell you.
I don't know why. I think there is some sort of like misconception that people can just turn up to a comedy show and just have a go at people. Yeah, why is that? It's like a massive misunderstanding.
There is, you know, substance to it in that. That is how. Oh, that's terribly unprofessional. It is,
but I'm not professional. I just spilled my coffee. It's got to put down the radiator later.
It's basically alternative comedy, which is what the comedy that we all know and love now was born in like the early 80s. And before that, you had mainstream comedy, which was the working man clubs, sort of Mike Reed, Roy Chubby Brown, are the more prolific names.
Yeah.
And then back then,
politically correct comedy.
Oh, exactly, yeah, the one for the lefties, as I like to call it now. So, I mean, obviously, the comedy back then was predominantly sexist and racist material, and there was a culture for borrowing each other's jokes. Everyone just used everyone's jokes. Same as sort of in magic and ventriloquism and stuff. You pick up each other's tricks.
Use each other's bits.
That's the culture.
Yeah, right.
And alternative comedy was born out of opposing that, like when it was set up by Alexei Sale and Tony Allen, like in the early 80s. There was only 3 rules to doing alternative comedy, and that was no sexism, no racism, and you do your own stuff. You don't borrow your own stuff. Yeah. And there was actually this sort of like comedy civil war at the Comedy Store in London, because that was like the only live comedy venue that alternative comedy ended up winning, and then that's sort of, Alexei Sale went on to like open up little alternative comedy clubs in London. That is basically how alternative comedy came about. Right. But back then, like before alternative comedy, when it was mainstream, there was this culture of, you know, shouting things out, and you know, you're getting destroyed by the comedian. So you know, a lot of people, they see comedy on the telly, but they don't go out to comedy, no. and so many people feel like that is a part of it. They feel like they're helping, but really they're not. And I'm telling you now, you ask any comedian if they like a bit of heckling, and you'll 0.01% of them are going to say yes. The ones that do are probably cunts
and weird and fucking mental. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's crazy. I just don't like it. It's just a well, there's like a culture to go and watching anything. I think like you go and watch an acoustic music set. There's like a, what do you call it? There's like a, forgotten the word, but there's like a. You're expected to be fucking quiet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Etiquette
is the word.
Yeah, that's right.
You go and watch opera, you're going to sit there and appreciate it, you know, all that kind of thing. There's like I think people might need a lesson on how to behave in a comedy show.
Well, it's mad that they should even, you know, it should just be common sense. But a lot, you know, so many people just haven't got self-awareness. No, is what it is. You know, they turn up like she honestly don't feel like she's doing anything wrong. No. Like, you know, even when you're literally putting it in black and white and saying, look at these people sitting here watching a show.
They're just like looking at you like.
She's like, oh yeah, you know, you wouldn't be able to do that in a theatre. And it's like, well, you wouldn't be able to do this in a theatre. Are you mad? Yeah. Would you just bowl into a theatre with a pool cue in your hand halfway through? Like,
oh, there's a pool table there. Fucking hell, you should be able to take this, you can't.
Yeah, exactly. It's mad, isn't it?
Just madness, yeah. Maybe that's like maybe like humans learn that. Do you know what I mean? Like music's been. I mean, obviously comedy's like the same age as music. Maybe like probably people were being funny before they were being musical, possibly.
Going back, I don't know.
Thousands of years.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Cult jesters and that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe people have like learned how to behave at a gig from music, and because I think. I don't know. I mean, might be mad to say, but it's only like the last 10 years where comedy has become the new rock and roll type thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Netflix series, like specials and that. James Acaster 4 fucking shows.
100%, mate. Yeah,
so it's like kind of new.
Yeah, definitely. It's
for people to experience.
But this is what I mean. It's only been, like you say, the last sort of 10, 15 years that it's gone into mainstream. I was, my dad used to run a comedy club in the late 90s, and it was one of the only alternative comedy clubs outside London. And he had all the biggest acts down there. So it was like, I was into it from an age when I really shouldn't have been into it. I was like 6 and 7 watching Lee Evans and just crying at the physicality of what he's doing, not understanding any of the words, obviously, but
like mental.
Just his being so physical, it was just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And I couldn't ever imagine wanting it to be anything else. I can't remember wanting it to be anything else. And but back then, the only way you could see alternative comedy on the telly was on the stand-up show, which was like, I think it was on like a Thursday night on BBC or Channel 4, and it was on at like 11 o'clock at night. Right. And I remember like my mum used to tape that for my dad, and I'd sit there and watch it religiously, and there'd be people like Ed Byrne, Tim Vine, Harry Hill, a lot of like comedians that are like big now that weren't big back then, and that was the only way you could get it. And unless you had Sky, and then even then on Sky it was Paramount Comedy Channel, and there was like live at Jongleurs and live at the Comedy Store, and that was it. So now it's fucking everywhere, mate. You know what I mean? It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. And that's amazing. Yeah, it was so good.
It's great. Yeah, it is great. But it's like you say, people now are only just, like you say, they're learning how to be in that environment because, you know, the older people are of an ilk where they feel like, you know, they're allowed to shout out and they're helping somehow. Yeah. And the younger people are in this sort of weird crossovery bit. You know, it's funny, you do like younger audiences now, like if I do any student unions, or stuff like that, where they're like 18, 19, 20. There's a real sort of culture. Now, I consider myself left-wing, liberal, woke geezer, you know what I mean? But there's a real like culture of being offended on behalf of other people.
Which is, you know? And especially in comedy, it's like couldn't be further away from how you should react to an offensive joke.
Yeah,
like,
it's a nightmare, and like I think like this is a big debate that's always been going up whether certain topics should be off topic, and like I don't think any topic should be off topic.
Yeah, there's nothing you can't joke about.
No, exactly. You know, as soon as you start censoring comedy, you're censoring speech.
Yeah.
And it's down to, you know, audiences to decide what's acceptable and what's not. And you know, I'm telling you now, a comedian keeps going out and doing like racist jokes, they'll soon find out that that's not going to work.
Right. Yeah.
You know, but where do you draw the line? And there is, well, we've gone on a massive tangent here, haven't we?
Yeah.
But yeah. So comedy, it's good. I love it.
Yeah, good on comedy. Apart from when you get threatened to get glassed in the head.
Yeah, well, actually, that don't happen that often.
No, it wasn't that specific, I suppose. He just said he'd throw a glass at you.
Yeah, he did say he was going to throw a glass at me. He didn't, you know, let me know what his level of throwing ability was like.
Well, we don't know how accurate he would have been.
No.
He might have meant just near you. So maybe that's not as bad. Maybe he's all right.
Judging the situation as I saw it, I don't think he would have, you know, thrown the glass unless she gave him a direct order to throw the glass.
Yeah. If she said it was okay, then he probably would have done it.
It was almost like watching Keith and Orville, you know what I mean? Just had a hand up his arse.
Nice. So, this podcast is called the No Stress Podcast. Okay. So, we got off to a stressful start.
Oh, God, yeah. I should have read the disclaimer before.
Yeah. Didn't read the T's and C's, did he?
How have you been? I've had a really stressful day.
I've been fucking terrible, actually. But it's all about creativity, positivity, living a low-stress life where you can.
Nice.
And so, I mean... the question was done for me when you said you almost got attacked last night and how you dealt with it. So yeah, like obviously, I mean, in life, everybody goes through very difficult times. But the situations of a comedian, it must be a high stress activity to take part in.
Yeah, I mean, it can be, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many variables involved.
Yeah.
But like once you're comfortable in your set and you know your jokes work, you know, I love it, mate. I absolutely live, eat, shit and breathe doing that job and going up and making people laugh. It's the best feeling ever, you know. So I don't find it that stressful. You know, it's stressful to me in the situation that we talked about earlier, like when it's, you know, if I'm comparing, I feel a direct responsibility to all the acts on that stage, you know, as well as the audience, but more so the acts, because, you know, you make it right for the acts and then the acts will make it right for the audience.
What's the most stressful bit about, like, if you're playing a show, what do you fret about the most? I mean, is it the jokes? Do the jokes work? Or
it's making them laugh, mate. Pure and simply. You just want them to laugh and be comfortable, you know. Obviously, you get some gigs that like where everyone in the room is there for a good time and you can feel the energy in the room when you get in there. Yeah. And everything you say, you know, they laugh at, and they are obviously the most enjoyable gigs to do. Yeah. Some gigs are like, you know, you have to work them a little bit, and you know, like I say, a lot of people don't know how to be in a comedy club, what to expect. So you have to just let them know that, because they think you're going to take the piss out of all of them as well.
Yeah, right. So I mean, you sat in the front row. That's pretty like daunting. Like, as an audience member. Yeah.
So, and you know, it shouldn't be really, because most good compares nowadays, you know, the advice I've always had, I think was from Dara O'Brien or someone like that, said they always need to be the hero, the audience member. You know, you can take the mickey out of them a little bit and have a little bit of piss taking.
Yeah, but they're going to get you out the act out of the hole, I suppose.
Yeah, but just it's always, you've always got to bring it round so that, you know, you're lifting them back up at the end or deprecating yourself. So like, I mean, you know, take the piss out of your shirt.
Yeah.
And then like everyone laughs because you know, can you hear me over his shirt? Blah blah blah. Ha 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 ha. And it's you know, look at me. None of my shirts fit me. I've got the physique of an 8-year-old boy. You know, and just bring it back on you all of a sudden, and it's like.
And then then that kind of makes sense. It's like refreshing the set, I suppose. It's like going back to the beginning, a fresh start.
But yeah, for me, the most stressful part of it, I think, would in hosting, or just not being able to get them.
Right, not being able to get the audience into the place they need to be for the act.
When they're just flat as arseholes and you're just like, you're flying through your material at 100 mile an hour and they're not biting with anything.
That's tough. Like, do you learn a lot in those moments, or does it go past like you can't remember?
But in the early days, you do learn a lot from those moments.
Yeah, right. I guess you're like a baby being born, picks up a lot of information
constantly. Yeah, you should be anyway. I think like if you want to do comedy, then it's because of the fact that you can't at all practice comedy, unless it's the practicing is done in front of an audience. And so in that instance, every time you're doing it, you should be learning and thinking about, recording your set every single time. And in the early days, listening back to them and thinking, right, well, that didn't hit as much. Why didn't that hit as well? Perhaps I can reword that, or maybe I'm swearing too much in that bit, or perhaps I need to slow it down, trim the fat, whatever. You should always be sort of working and analysing it. And I think in that situation, now, I've been going 6 years. I gig 3-4 nights a week on average, and I know that I'm half good at what I do. You're. I don't know. I learned from last night, definitely.
Yeah,
I learned, perhaps not to go in as hard as early, and see if I can, salvage the situation rather than just go in all guns blazing. Not take things too personally, really.
Sure.
But I don't know. I just feel pissed off when things happen.
Yeah, I suppose like with an audience when it's not as big as it usually is, because Mother's Day or any other reason, that I suppose the audience is sort of like a shield sometimes. Like if there's 40 people in that room, maybe that doesn't happen.
Well, I mean, I think there is definitely an argument to say that if there was more people in that gig, then she would have felt a little bit more like she had lost.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. It's like, that was all that was a battle between her ego and the ego of the comedian. Which one is biggest and which one's going to win.
Yeah, and the comedian is a vulnerable place, right? So it's like it's an easy target.
Yeah, and it's also an enormous amount of pressure in that situation, particularly for a new comedian who hasn't dealt with that as much as someone like me who's been going a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like, because as soon as someone heckles a comedian, everyone in that room is like, right, how's he going to deal with this? Because this is your bread and butter, mate.
Let's see.
People will go, whoa. And if you ain't got nothing, and your brain's going through the fucking roller coaster at 100 miles an hour, it's just hard. And that was all that was a battle between our egos, and it just got to a point where she wasn't wanted the last word all the time. Whereas if you had 30-40 people in that room, when I say at one point I turned around and said, give me a cheer if you're here to see a night of comedy, everyone in the room's like, way. If you've got 40 people doing that and she's the only one, and plus they tend to self-police it as well. You have people in the audience going, shut up. And then there's more pressure on her to just go. So because there was less people in the room, then no one could shout louder than her alcoholism.
Yeah, fair. Or her cunt of a mouth, as we like to call it. Do you ever get like? I was thinking about what I would be frustrated at if I ever give it a go, which I might. I don't know.
I'd highly recommend it. It's like good therapy, mate.
Yeah, I can imagine. You'd find a lot out about yourself doing the first one. Are you ever very disappointed that like a bit that you thought was really good just didn't work? And you can't get it to work. How often does that happen?
Yeah, all the time, mate.
So you got bits where you're like, this is definitely funny.
Yeah.
And then you go and do it, and it just flops.
Yeah. I've got a bit at the moment, actually. It's funny you should say that, because it's a bit that I've been working on for the last little while that I believe in so much, and I really fucking want it to work. And I'm chopping it about all over the place to try and get it to go. But it's the only bit I've ever written that's like a story rather than set up punch,
Fine.
So it's a real story. It's about the birth of my kids, so like when we went into labour, and there's lots of lovely little peaks in it where people, the laughter is so big throughout in these little mini punchlines that if I can just put a cherry on
hit
it,
the big one.
If I can just write a punchline for this joke, the punchlines don't live up to the rest of it.
Right? Yeah.
So I get through this whole thing, and like where it's like a story as well, and I'm talking about it, it's real, and they can feel the realness, and you can hear like in the setup parts of the joke, you can hear a pin drop where they're so invested.
Just waiting.
And then I just mug them off with some half-assed
Shite
punchline.
joke. Maybe there isn't a punchline to it. Maybe it needs to be a non-punchline.
Yeah, I mean, I did it again at a gig on Saturday, a really nice gig actually up in Norwich. And it was the best it had gone so far. Still, the punchline was like down here somewhere, but I felt like I've got an idea from that night that I'm gonna.
Okay, cool. That's really
basically
cool.
switch some bits around. It's hard to explain without,
going into it. And you don't want to go into it because some fucker might nick it.
But it just sounded shit when it in conversation. Well, it would just be me talking about the birth of my daughter.
It'd be weird if someone nicked a joke about the birth of your daughter.
Yeah,
that would
exactly.
be weird.
Especially when that story involves me smoking weed when I should be at the birth of my daughter. I don't think anyone's going to want to put their name to that.
No, maybe not. Though I've got this mate, and they can tell it like that.
I was at the birth of my daughter, by the way. We'll just point that out. But
it's good to clarify.
There was a couple of bad decisions in the run up to that happened.
I see, and one of them was buying some weed to smoke.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the worst decision. No, I'm joking.
What else happened? It's very exciting to hear. Yeah, I can imagine that would really be frustrating. Because do you think there'll be a point where you just put it away and that's it now? Or are you going to be very adamant to get it?
I think you should all. There's definitely a gag in that. You know what I mean? It's not. It's already beyond being a work in progress now. I find out a lot of the kinks, and there's enough laughs in it.
That's going to be a good feeling then.
Yeah, it will come out of the sky. I'm not one of these people that can sit down, open a book, and go, right, today I'm writing some comedy.
I'm writing the
out
joke.
Comes the gold.
Yeah.
It never ever happens to me that way.
Is that the most like rewarding bit of it when you're working at something and it hits?
Yeah, I'll tell you. For me, it's like the way I work. I've got notes in my phone, and if I have a conversation and like I'll say something and it's funny, makes people laugh in the conversation. I think there might be a joke in there. I'll put
write it down.
Little note just to remind me of that train of thought. And then I go to the Alex, which is why I set that gig up.
Yeah.
And I just look at my phone and go, right, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that. And I might not have fully structured it, but I'm just feel a bit comfortable enough there to just start talking about a topic.
It's like editing space, is it? Like
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely. You know, I do it every week now. I know a lot of my mates go down there. There's a lot of regulars in it. It's a really friendly atmosphere. And for me, like, I could not be more comfortable in just walking up there and talking, which is it's a gold mine, actually.
Yeah.
I recommend to a lot of acts that start up and ask for advice, if you can just set up a little night for you, like nothing too special, just an open mic night bucket at the end, just to get you that stage time all the time. It's so worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the best feeling, without a doubt, is having one of them notes, going up on stage, telling it
into something,
and the first time you say it, the place erupts, and you're like, oh my god, and you know it's going in the set then.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's similar to like when I write a song, for example, and they sort of come out of like they just comes out of nowhere and it works straight away. You don't have to work at it. It's like that's pretty psychotic to be able to do that. I think
it's weird. It don't happen often. You know, 9 times out of 10, it's like the idea's there, and you know it gets like laughs, but it needs structuring a bit better or whatever. You know, there's a lot of science involved in joke writing, believe it or not, in that, you know, certain beats and breaths that incite laughter. You know, people just looks telling us something in a certain way, the rhythm that you tell it in is enough for people to go, oh, there's supposed to be a laugh here.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. Like, it's like a signifier of the time to laugh. Yeah, that's interesting. I suppose, do you work backwards? So you work backwards from a idea.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Start at the funny and then work backwards generally.
Have you ever started at the start and get somewhere? That doesn't seem to make sense.
One joke that I tell, and it's still my closer now. I could tell that. I don't mind doing that.
Yeah.
It's the only joke I've ever I wrote it. I said I was on my own. I was going to meet him at Costa, and I'll tell you the joke in a second. But something happened. That happens to everybody, and I was like, I bet there's a gag in there. And I sat while I waited for him at Costa and wrote it out in my phone, and as I wrote it is how I told it that night, and how it has been ever since.
That's crazy.
And it's just a really silly joke, but it's like, I talk about how you know, comedy's a weird job, innit? Like, obviously you see comedians and you know what to expect when you come here, but when you actually look at it on paper, travelling all around the country to stand up in front of a room full of strangers for 20 minutes and talk about my pathetic life, hoping you laugh in the gaps. That's weird. It's a weird way to earn money. It's not just weird because the physical act of doing it changes the way your brain works. because you're always trying to find the funny and stuff. Sometimes it's just not there to be found, right? And I'll give you an example. A month ago, I was walking down the street and I bumped into someone. We both went the same way, right? That happens to everyone, right? There's got to be a gag in there somewhere. Whenever it happens to me, I always go, oh, do a little dance, right? Someone else do that? And I go, yeah. You know, so, you know, that happens to everyone. There's got to be a gag in there somewhere. And I'm from a generation where someone says, do a little dance, I think, make a little love, right? Because of the song. Yeah. And always someone will shout it out, you know, make a little love. So I thought in my twisted comedy brain, it never happened to a normal person, but how funny would it be if you bumped into someone, you both went the same way, and you got the wrong line to the song. So instead of going, oh, do a little dance, you went, oh, make a little love. Right, it never happened. But, you know, how funny could it be if it did? Goes in the book, shut the book, forget about it. Fast forward 3 weeks, walking down the street, bump into someone, we both go the same way. My brain's going, this is that gag you were talking about, right? And I was so conscious of not saying it, I fucking said it. I went, oh, make a little love. Yeah, it was really awkward. I mean, it would have been less awkward if the person I was doing it with wasn't an 80-year-old woman collecting for Alzheimer's. Do you know what she said? Get down tonight. What a fucking legend. Yeah, so that was exactly how it come out. And then I've got like a little topper. If the audience are a little bit bluer, I'll be like, get down tonight. What a legend. And that'll get a laugh. And I was like, so I did. And then that gets like a groan.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, it's all right. She won't remember it. Just end on a little Alzheimer's number and belt the fuck out the door.
And fuck off before anyone has a go. That's good.
But that's like, it's not like a genius bit of material. But the reason why people like it, I think, is because the way I set it up is a bit like a peek behind the curtain for them.
Yeah, like a little bit at a time.
Yeah, like we're just like by like I'm telling them a little bit about the joke writing process and how like, you know, you're trying to find stuff.
That's true. Yeah, it's pretty real. Yeah, I like the idea of like the audition, like the judging the room. That's cool. Yeah.
Well, that I learnt that the hard way because that was actually the full gag. Was, you know,
right? And people weren't,
because as I wrote it, I'm like, oh, Nate, you're a woman. Alzheimer's. What does she say? Get down tonight. And I had a little laugh to myself and was like, oh my god, that is going to go off. And I was like, oh fucking, she's got Alzheimer's, isn't it?
She can't.
And I just cut on it, yeah. And then like, yeah, the first time I did it,
you
got
told
like
it in full.
Got a massive laugh off of the get down tonight. What a legend! And it was like clap, like and a clap, and I should have ended there. Yeah. And then I was like, so I did. And it was like groan. I was like, sorry, she won't remember it. And they were like, oh,
get off.
And I just totally alienated everyone now. But you know, sometimes that's the best. And you can feel when it's right.
Yeah.
You know, and because it's at a closer now as well, they're already invested in me. I've done the whole set.
Yeah.
And there's also this like little trick that comedians do where as soon as you grab the mic, when you grab the mic stand, you're sort of guaranteeing yourself an applause break because people know it's the last joke. Okay, so when the punchline happens, the clap happens as well. There's a lot of I'm not going to name them, but there's a lot of top comedians that use little tricks like that. There's one in particular that springs to mind that would say that he's wrapping up like when he still had like 10-15 minutes left. And it'd be like, he'd say something to the program like, oh, I've had a lovely time tonight. Do you mind if I do a little bit longer? So the front was like, well, yeah, I want you to do your fucking set.
Do your fucking set.
But because of that, it's genius when you think about it.
Yeah, right, because then people know they've got to do the big laugh.
Yeah, exactly. And he asked them as well. He's like, would you like me to do a bit more? Would you mind if I do a bit more? And they'll go, way, because they haven't had 20 minutes of it yet.
Yeah.
And then everything after that just is a little level up. You know?
Yeah, that's great. That's really good.
It's all this psychology, mate, and it's so much that you don't think about.
No, well, that's like a lot of different things, I suppose, like a lot of different jobs, a lot of different performing. Yeah, there's loads of little tricks that go into it. That's really interesting. What's the best thing about being alive?
About being alive?
What's the best thing about life for you?
Christ. I mean,
you don't have to say the obvious, like.
This is what I mean. I mean, no, the obvious things.
That's boring. Yeah, everyone knows that's good.
Surely.
2 people have said that already.
Yeah.
Go say it else.
Yeah, you sort of have to, don't you? I'm sort of thinking immediately, my missus is watching this, so, you know, Holly, it's all about you, love.
Yeah.
And Lexi as well, my daughter. It just being alive, mate, blows my mind away.
Just living your life.
I think how super lucky you are to just like, you know, it's a lottery, isn't it? And we're just one of the amoebas that grew into something.
And we've done all right. Yeah,
we're doing all right.
Landed in all right town.
Yeah. I think I'm very lucky to have found comedy, mate, to be honest. I know it sounds a bit corny, but like it's just such an invigorating thing going out there making people laugh.
Yeah, I mean, people are looking for what they're meant to be doing, and I suppose if you find it, whether it's your job or not, do you know what I mean? If somebody finds comedy and it sort of completes them, even if they don't do it as a full-time job, that's still good. My mate Joe did this. He's like a creative guy, done the podcast with him before. And he says, I've got all this creative juice, but I don't know what I'm meant to be doing with it.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know
yeah.
if I'm meant to be writing poetry, if I'm meant to be drawing or doing podcasting. I'm not sure don't know what his calling is.
Yeah,
So I think you find what your calling is. You've done all right.
Yeah, definitely. I think having a passion is so important, and actually regarding it with a certain level of priority is important as well. 'Cause I think that we're so indoctrinated to think that you've got to work hard and you've got to go and earn your money and get a decent job, and everything else comes second.
Yeah,
and
9 till 5. Yeah,
And it should be the other way round.
Yeah, it
you know,
should.
you've got to earn money, but it should just be, you know, you have to earn money to do what you've got to do. But that is something that you have to do. You know, what's most important is what comes after it. You know, people you could never fathom, and still now really. But I mean, I've only been doing comedy as my only job, other than the radio, since April last year. So I was working a full-time job. It was a manual labour job as well, grafting all day, and I was doing a breakfast show on community radio, popular like underground music station, Funky Essex, and you know, it was unpaid because it was a community station. We just recognised that it was something would be great for our platform, and
good opportunity.
So we were going in, me and John Oakes, into Funky for 10 to 7 every morning, Monday to Friday, finishing up at 9, and then going straight and doing a full day's work, and then driving and gigging.
Bloody hell.
And people don't get it, but like for me, it was like, most people will just come home and go, I'm too knackered to work on that bit of art I'm doing, or I'm too knackered to, you know, write that book that I'm trying to work on. And that's fair enough. It is knackering.
It is fucking knackering. Yeah.
But the people that get to the very top of their game, they don't get there by being like just accepting that that's their day done.
Yeah,
after
right.
Days,
That's a common misconception as well, because you only see take footballers for an example. You see, I don't know, a Premier League player, say Sergio Aguero. You see him scoring hat tricks every other week, and you just think, oh, he's good. But you don't think about the journey that was fucking hard. Like born in Argentina, for example, probably in a ghetto somewhere, and like coming through all these difficult like scenarios that you come up against. Same with like bands and comedians like you. I'm not saying you're a band and a comedian. I'm saying comedian.
Straight a pair of cymbals to my legs.
Little guitar. Jasper Carrot. But like you said, we all only see the final product, right? So and so that's really that's frustrating for people, because I know so many people that have got passions and as well as full-time jobs, and so that's hard, because people see flip through Instagram, you see like loads of people doing different stuff, and it looks like a complete like little itemized project that's done. But of course, it's like forever being worked at. Yeah, of course. So it makes people think, oh god, I can't do it. I'm just too knackered. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems too far out of reach, and you know, because you've got bills to pay. Because this is what happens: you get the full-time job and you knuckle down. There's never like.
Then you get stuck in it.
There's never an end game.
No.
You know, you say to kids, like, you know, you've got to knuckle down, you've got to pass your GCSEs, and you know, you pass your GCSEs because you want to get good A levels, and you get good A levels because you want to go to a good uni. Yeah. And you go to uni, and then uni finishes, and you pass that, and you're like, right, now it's time to get the job that I've always wanted. And then you get into or you don't. you go for just say you do, you get into the company for the job that you wanted. Yeah. But then it doesn't just end there. It's not like, right, boom, fireworks, I got there. It's like, now I want the job that's a little bit higher than that, and then next thing you know, you wake up, you're 50, you buy a Harley Davidson because you're like, I read this
and you look cool as fuck on it.
Yeah, but inside you're dying.
But that's fine, because Instagram is great.
Exactly,
it makes you look great.
Yeah. But yeah, I read this article once.
Sorry, is that about someone in particular?
No, it's not. I feel it's a bit unfit of a sweeping statement, but I'm using the symbolism of a Harley Davidson to symbolise a midlife crisis. Right?
Yeah, good.
I just feel like that is the very definition of a midlife crisis: is waking up at 50, and you might be well off, and you might have a nice house and a nice family, but it's just waking up and thinking, I wanted to be a rock star, or I wanted to, do you know what I mean? I wanted to do something else, and I've given so much of my life, and now there's less of it left than what was in front of me. I'm Harley Davidson, yeah. And I read this article that absolutely terrified me about 10, 15 years ago about this woman who worked in like end of life care in Germany. She was a doctor, and she worked with elderly people at the very end of their life, and she did this project over like 3 or 4 years where she just asked them all one question: what do you regret? and like 89% of them, or something like that, some ridiculous majority of them said they would have worked less. And I think that just fucking says it all, mate. You know, when you look back, and you know, we're this weird in-betweeny generation where, you know, our parents come from the our parents' grew up with fuck all, and
Come out of war. Yeah.
Coming out of the war, rebuilding the country, the community spirit, everyone looks after everyone, you work. They instill that into our parents, and then our parents try and instill that into us, but then we grew up with no technology, the technology hit, and then we got all the technology.
And then you're trying to work it all out and learning it.
Yeah, but you're sort of fighting this moral barrier that your parents have instilled in you to get a fucking job and be sensible. And creatives, that's why people like your mate that have got all this creative buzz, they get paralysed by all the creativity and don't know where to channel it. And they either end up, you know, unemployed, smoking weed and, you know, stinking their ass out with joss sticks, no offence. Or they just stay in the job and then their creativity ends up getting suffocated.
And becomes a hobby, yeah.
I felt it definitely in the job that I was in. It was so mundane, boring, soul-destroying shit. And it was, before I had comedy, I was a DJ, mobile DJ. I did anything to have a full-time job. I've been in and out of jobs ever since I left school because I just could not... I would be fine in a job until I felt trapped by it, and then I'd just fuck it off and go the other way.
Yeah,
and
start fresh.
Don't get me wrong, I'm in a shitload of debt because of it, and it weren't, you know, I made some bad decisions, but, you know, I just couldn't get on with that kind of conformity and rigidity, and ultimately being spoken to like a piece of shit, and even at a young age thinking like, £6 an hour, and nobody's going to talk to me like that and embarrass me in front of...
Yeah, make you feel
because
small.
I'm 2 minutes late. And, you know, and I couldn't get my head around this whole, you know, you're paid from 9, but they want you in at 1:45 philosophy. And I'm getting bollocked at 2 minutes to 9. And it's like, hold on a minute, I'm not even on the fucking payroll yet.
I find that there's definitely an attitude where it's like, you should be grateful for your job.
Yeah.
Which to an extent, it's a two-way street. Yeah, you got to work hard in a job, but also... employers should be grateful for the people they have.
Yeah, it's just...
It's very wrong. It's twisted.
It really is. And I think, you know, that could be said for all of life, whether it's, you know, the laws that we live under and the taxes we have to pay, the Dartford crossing, you know, people just suck it up and get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
it's
such
easier
a con.
than the resistance, you know. But that's why the creatives that go on to make it, the ones that just get their head down and smash through these...
What I'm constantly thinking about, hopefully having a YouTube channel and podcasting as a job, that's the dream, I guess. And so what you got to do, I think, is try and find your little pocket and just fucking like tunnel out each direction constantly. Find your little gap. Yeah,
you've got
constantly
all
work
consistency, mate, and constantly throwing shit at a wall. Whether you want to. If you want to work in media, whether it be radio, TV, film, acting, comedy, podcast, whatever it is, you're in the most saturated job market that there could be. You know, there's millions of people gunning for the smallest amount. But what we've got that our parents never had is to be able to just do this in your dining room and then instantly put it out to the whole world.
It's the platform,
potentially millions and millions of people can watch it. So the only way you're going to increase your... If making... the big time and getting millions of subscribers and earning money out of YouTube is the raffle prize. You're only going to increase your chances by buying more tickets to that raffle, isn't it? Of course, yeah. And that to me is throwing shit at the wall constantly.
Yeah, even if it isn't the best you've got, I suppose.
No, that's it. Yeah. It's just, it only takes one video to bite and go viral. It only takes one gig that I do in the middle of nowhere that happens to have one of the top agents in the country in it, you know, and that's why, you know, it's very hard for people to, you know, I see comedians that would probably be very good. They do their first gig in front of all their mates and then they're like, oh, I've got the buzz. How do I do more of this? And then it's like, right, okay, well, here's the open mic circuit. Off you go. And then
get in there.
And, you know, you speak to them a month later and they're like, no, I'm not fucking doing that. Because the majority of what you're going to be doing is rooms with just acts in it because there's no audience members. They're in rooms not set up for comedy. You know, the mics don't work properly. There's a live bar next door. You can hear all the you know.
Yeah, people chatting. Yeah.
And you've got to be doing
glasses clonking.
And you've got to be doing it 6 nights a week. Yeah. And if you don't really want it, mate, that's pretty hard to motivate yourself to go and do that.
Do something else. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that is... That it seems like the most vulnerable thing you can do with creativity. to me.
A lot of people have said that, yeah. But again, I think like when you don't do it, it obviously seems so alien, you know.
Yeah,
like,
difficult, so hard because you never tried.
Yeah, of course. But for someone like, you know, once you've done it a few times, even once you've done it once, you know, I always say to newer acts, and it's common knowledge that comedy is, say, 70% how you tell it and 30% what you're actually saying. It's all about your confidence, your delivery, making you. People are only going to laugh naturally if they feel 100% comfortable.
If they believe you,
they want
you
you to be comfortable. If you see a comedian on stage that looks a little bit nervous, it makes you feel a little bit cringy, and then that laugh's not coming organically anymore.
No.
So, you know, once you get over that, if you've got that in you to stand up in front of people and look comfortable doing it, which hardly anyone's got, by the way, you will do well in comedy. 9 times out of 10 people that have gone to a comedy night have gone to see a comedian and laugh. So, you know, I'm not saying we will do well in comedy. I mean, like, you will do well at that gig.
At the gig, yeah, because everyone's going to laugh. So it's like they're expecting to, and they'll just,
And you and what you done will look alien to 98% of your mates, and you go, I can't believe you got up there and did that. But, you know, I guess we take that for granted. People that have got the confidence to stand up in front of people, you definitely take it for granted, because it's no skin off my nose.
No.
I done a gig a while ago in a fire station. It's phenomenal. It's raising money for the fire station, and it was absolutely rammed, about 250 people, and that they had like a call out while they were there. So you had all like the on duty firemen were watching the show, and then all the alarms went off, and everyone's like, how'd you follow that as a comedian on stage? You know what I mean? It was incredible.
Well, my job's pointless. Off you go, boys.
Exactly. And like I was at the bar after the show, and I was chatting to one of these firemen. And he was like, "Mate, I don't know how you do that. It's got to be the hardest job in the world." And I just looked at him. I was just like, "Are you fucking joking? You run in to buildings that everyone's running out of to save people you don't even know
that are on fire.
And I just talk fucking bollocks."
Like, saving a cat from a tree is easy though. Isn't it?
Yeah, they do. I mean, it's a lot of snooker in it they're playing there. But no, But then, you know, I think like, it's a statistic that the number 2 fear among people after death is public speaking.
Right,
it's like death, then public speaking, then heights, flying, or whatever.
Madness,
you know, but that's what I mean. We would take that for granted because you're obviously a confident bloke, an outgoing bloke. You wouldn't think twice to like go and do a speech for your mate's best man do or whatever. But that really fills people with fear.
Yeah, that's like feels like a conspiracy, like an indoctrination into the people not to speak up. Do you know what I mean? That feels like to make people feel pressured not to speak.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. That's pretty deep, but you're probably right. Yeah, I think like we do live in this kind of patriarchal society where you are dumbed down, and that's been like that for centuries. You know, where peasants didn't fucking speak, pain of death, mate. So maybe that probably is. Plus, there's in Britain especially, we've got this kind of stiff upper lip. Yeah, you know, you don't talk about that and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's not should not be doing that. Yeah,
no, but I mean, but ultimately, mate, it's such a gift. It's such a gift. It really is to like see. You know, this is, again, it's going to sound really poncy, but a few times after a gig, I've had people in the audience come up and go, "You know what, I've had the worst week. Like, my dad passed away, or this happened, and I've been really low, and I've come out tonight, and I've just not laughed so much. And I really, thank you for that." And that's like...
That's amazing.
Gives me goosebumps just talking about it.
I got it in my neck, yeah. Like when I've done a few podcasts, people message and say, that really got me through that difficult week, When, we've done the jam sandwich and the hippie stuff before, and it got like did all right, and people would message and say, that really got me through that difficult period of, suffering, depression, and it made me feel good.
That's like... sense of achievement,
mate. That's like,
but I mean, like, obviously there's a massive ego element to it. I'm not having any comedians stand up and tell me that they don't like the attention.
No, I ain't doing it because of that.
Some people do. I just do it to send the message. Fuck off.
Yeah.
You love it to stand up there on your own and have all.
Look at me.
And you're literally begging them for recognition.
I'm a legend.
Exactly.
You might as well have a fucking sign going, I'm a legend.
It's real life Facebook. The laughs are just likes, and that's it, and it's currency in comedy.
Mate, 100%. Like what you said, like we're from a weird generation where like our parents come through the war, rebuilt the country. Then there's like this like enforced nature, go out and work hard, knuckle down, and then we're born out of that. I feel like that is the downfall of society, because 1 second, sorry.
Can have a Red Bull in there, like a little recharge the juice.
Yeah. Like, because politics is fucked at the moment, as we know. To put it simply.
To put it lightly,
So there's a load of people. I was having a conversation with my dad's mate, basically, and he said, "I'm really jealous of you and your dad's relationship, like, because I never had that. Like, he was born into the 70s at 18. It's like flourishing England, like loads of stuff happening, art, culture.
Yeah, the
It's like,
boom.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of like our parents' generation, that their parents didn't really have, well, I don't know, this is a sweeping statement, but there's like not a real like heartfelt connection. There's a lot of people that feel disconnected from their parents, like our parents.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, like, I think that is a downfall of society and politics, where there's a group of people at the moment voting for Brexit and fucking Nigel Farage, love Tommy Robinson. They've never really got to know their parents or like potentially their older family members, and I feel like that is the problem we have at the moment.
Projected outwards.
Yeah, projected outwards.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I think that
given this like anger, like that's probably stems from.
And I think that society, because they sort of feel like, that generation is very much like, you know, kids are seen but not heard, and should just be knuckling down and studying.
Yeah.
There's been, you know, it is 100% our government's responsibility to be trying to engage younger people in politics. And, you know, I never learned politics in school.
No.
We learned plenty about religion, but we never learned anything about politics, you know. And it's only now that young people are engaging in it, and that is because they're having to do that themselves because they've got the internet in front of them, and ultimately that's why I think we're in the state we're in, because you've got a lot of people from that older generation, like you say, that are calling the shots and making decisions on behalf of people that just are from a completely different generation. Things are so different now, and that they've failed the younger generation because they've not engaged them in the politics. And ultimately, particularly if we're talking about Brexit, it is those younger generations that are going to, you know, be most...
Suffer.
If it's our opinion, then suffer.
Yeah.
But be mostly impacted by the effects of Brexit. And that's not to say that, you know, old people shouldn't get up and vote. And I'm not on board with all these like harsh leftists that were basically dancing on the graves of the people that are already dead.
Yeah.
But that statistic, though, when you look at it, and I can't remember exactly what it is, don't quote me verbatim, but it was something like, since the vote 3 years ago to leave the EU, 840,000 people who voted are now dead.
That's just crazy, isn't it?
And I mean, it's mental.
Yeah.
And like, you know, a lot of young people did go out and vote for that, but not enough. And they were all, the information that they were given was all incorrect from both sides.
It was just a lie. Yeah. I
So-
think. Well, the thing, like, I listen to a lot of LBC. I haven't for 6-7 weeks because I've been doing this, which is more important. Because I know what they're talking about. Do you know what I mean?
The sound of your own voice.
Yeah,
Fuck James
exactly.
O'Brien.
Fuck James O'Brien. I'm bored of that. I know I agree with him.
Yeah,
So I don't
exactly.
know what I think, so I'll just speak and see what happens. Yeah, I think a lot of what he talks about specifically is things bit like a balanced view. So like the BBC will put a left voice and then they'll balance it with some fucking bullshit that was made up. And that's not balance. That's using something that's not true to provide balance.
But this
crazy.
is the worst thing about it, is that, you know, you can't, and this is going to sound like Tim Full Hat and everything, but you can't trust the media, mate.
No,
and
you can't.
That is... For as long as radio has been a thing, you've got the news through the people that give it to you, who are also, you know, big investors in the political parties that are running the country, and there's such a bias that's so clear as day that it's just that everyone just accepts that that's the thing. But you know, that's where you're getting all this information from, and you're building your opinions on the
things
shit.
you're told. Yeah.
So it's so important to go out there and find it yourself. And don't get me wrong, there's a hell of a lot of misinformation out there, but that's why conversation is important.
Yeah. I think the establishment, or whatever that is, like the system, I'm not sure if I believe the people that are the elite are evil, if it's the system that is evil.
Yeah.
So I it depends what day you ask me. I say that so much. Like my opinion changes daily.
Yeah.
But I fucking forgot where I was going with that.
You were talking about No.
I-
You've done it to me now.
No.
It's contagious.
That's it. That is. What I was going to say was that the establishment wasn't ready for the platform that people have. So I'm not particularly a believer that we didn't land on the moon, but like that particular conspiracy theory is like the footage does not look right.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. I'm not sure if I believe that or not. I don't know. But the if that is in fact a lie, the people that told that lie did not predict the amount of platform that people would have.
Of course not. How could you?
How could you?
In the 60s, how could you have possibly, you look at videos where they're announcing the first, like when the internet first was conceived, and there's like news readers literally laughing at it, like going, "Oh, this guy's going to like sent a letter all the way around the world," and and I totally agree. They never could have predicted it. I think things like, don't get me wrong, I'm not like an anarchist or anything like that, but I do believe that the system's corrupt as hell, and I believe that probably most of these conspiracy theories are true. I don't waste a lot of time with them because what's the point, ultimately?
What's the point? Yeah.
Things like the moon landing and this whole flat earth thing, I just think is just fucking laughable. I don't care, really.
No.
I don't, all right, so they didn't land on the moon and they shouldn't have lied to us, whatever, but what? I don't care. And the flat earth thing as well. What I can't get with that, and I'm not going to go on a massive tangent with it, is, but why fucking lie about it? What are they gaining for all this time? Like what? You know what I mean?
The Earth's flat. Well, so?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. So what? I can't afford to travel from one end to the other. I'll never know. I'm just going to live in my bubble.
Yeah.
But, things like, unfortunately, people seem to be more engaged in stuff like that than engaging in the actual politics. And it's easy to sit there and say, well, they're all corrupt, what's the fucking point? But I just feel like you're living in it.
Yeah,
you should have an understanding of it.
Yeah, you have a duty.
Yeah, you do. To
as a human.
You do a little bit, particularly if you've got kids and stuff like that, because I think, like, I don't want to sound like I'm standing on a soapbox and preaching, but I just think, like, if you're going to... A lot of people have got an opinion on Brexit. Pretty much everyone's got an opinion on Brexit. Not many people have got an educated opinion on it. No. And that's not being out of order. That's just, they read the paper and they either share the views of their mate who they've had a chat with down the pub, or what they've read in the paper, or what their parents have said.
It's difficult talking about politics.
It is, because there's so much to talk about. Yeah. But I think what I'm saying is, in summary, is that one of the biggest issues with that and modern politics is that the kids aren't, I call them kids, that's so condescending, but like young people just need to, their voice needs to be respected a little bit more than what it is. And,
I think so, yeah.
And I think they need to be given a little bit more of a platform.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. In the third episode, I talked to my mate Bobby, who is a harsh lefty. Like, well, I don't know if he would even consider himself that. I might be being harsh. But he basically said it's kind of a funny idea that 16 to 18-year-olds aren't allowed to vote. So if like people aren't allowed to vote for their future, why are people over 70 allowed to vote for their future? When you're 70, the vote should be taken away from you. It's being a bit facetious.
Yeah.
But
it's just very draconian. I think kids are a lot more intelligent now at that age than what they would have been back then.
Yeah, look at that. Like the kids walking out of school to protest, how climate change is being dealt with. That's amazing.
I mean, that is incredible, and really is like it's incredible to see that. I'm
hopeful that they're being born into the right era that they can affect change.
Yeah, it's not going to. It will affect change eventually. The way the tides are turning. It's like I say, we're in this weird middle ground out of the millennials and our generation. Like the next generation, they've had all the technology at their fingertips from the minute they were born.
Yeah.
And they're all becoming more woke. It's like the idea of how much more inclusive we are as a society now compared to like just 20, 30 years ago. It's
uncomparable.
It really is. And, ultimately, more older people are going to die and more younger people are going to be going into more positions of power and there will be change, but it's a slow process.
We're like 30 years behind than what we're living in.
Yeah, and I think, like, we need to, whether the planet's clock is it going to be ticking long enough for us to sort our lives out?
Yeah, right. Do we have enough time? Is it gone too far?
That's why you should just have a passion and seize the moment a little bit.
Yeah, because you've got a duty to live.
Just enjoy it, mate. What's the point in getting the ump all the time? Don't get me wrong. I'm like a dog with a bone with an argument. And when during the election, and like me and you met through like griefing people on Facebook.
Yeah, that was so weird. We become friends on Facebook, slagging people off, and then bumped into each other in Asda.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
At that moment, I was like, we're going to form a political party.
Yeah.
That's such a mad coincidence.
It really is that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
mental.
Coincidences occur in my life so much.
It's the law of attraction, mate.
Yeah,
You
it
attract
is.
this stuff into
Do
you.
you believe in the law of attraction?
I do, yeah.
Do you believe in fate?
Not so much.
So do you think it's cause and effect, or you think it's luck? Does luck come into life?
No. Oh, well, I think, obviously luck's a thing,
Yeah.
but I think luck is
make
that,
it
it's
right.
luck. I don't think it's necessarily... Yeah. The law of attraction sounds like one of these weird spiritual things, but there's a lot of science behind it, and that's what made me get on board with it in the first place. It took me, I'd basically... I was a DJ for a few years. That was my sole source of income. I was a resident at a place, earning decent money out of it. And obviously in a self-employed environment, they decided they didn't want to DJ anymore. They wanted to get a kid to do it, basically, and just pulled the rug out from under my feet. So I went from having all this money to having no money overnight. And back then, before I found like law of attraction and everything else, I used to just spiral into this fucking pit of depression and not just shutting everyone out.
Right.
And my missus Holly, she had watched The Secret and she was like, watch this thing. And I'm like the biggest skeptic in the world. I don't I'm an atheist and I don't believe in all this spirituality and shit. But I watched it, and even while I was watching it, I was poo-pooing it and dismissing it because it's very Americanized the way it's put out, and it's like you've got all these rich people saying, "Oh yeah, if you just think about money, you'll get money." And I was just like, "Shut up." And but she was really like adamant that I'd delve into it a bit, so I started Googling and then looked at, obviously The Secret is what brought it to the limelight, and the law of attraction is just a new buzzword for it. But this is the thing that's been around for centuries and centuries, and people like Einstein believed in the law of attraction. And what it is that if you believe in science and what science tells you, everything's made up of the same thing. Although like even inanimate objects,
Carbon,
it's atoms, particles, and the Earth was created by energy. If you believe in the Big Bang, it was energy that created that. So I do think there's a little bit of there could be an element of truth in that. If you're always putting out a negative energy, it's I don't think it's necessarily a coincidence that people who are constantly negative and bummed out always have the worst shit happen to them. Everyone's got these friends or acquaintances that when you meet them, you go, "Hey, mate, how you doing? You all right?" "Oh, not good, mate. No, fucking this happened the other day. My dog died. My girlfriend's left me, and I'm feeling pretty shit.
Nicked.
Yeah, how about you?" And oh, fucking well, until about 30 seconds ago,
That's
mate.
great.
Yeah, but and you get people like that, and they're constantly thinking about the negative, and then more negative stuff happens, and so I thought I'll at least give it a go. But rather than try and change my whole mindset about things, because it is a big sort of mindset change. You try and instead of saying, "Oh, I haven't got any money," you need to say, "I've got loads of it," and really make yourself believe that it's there, it's on its way, it's an inevitability.
Visionaries, vision boards.
And that's really fucking hard to do, especially when you're at rock bottom. So I thought if I just apply it to one aspect of my life that I want to change. And that was comedy. I'd never done a gig. I'd always wanted to do a gig. All I'd ever wanted to be was a comedian, but I'd never written a joke, never done it, run loads of gigs, never ever done it. So I was like, right, I'll put a vision board out with just stand-up comedy on it. And I I'd done this visualisation thing where basically every morning I'd be visualising the Live at the Apollo screen going up, and it was every morning when I had a poo, actually, just to throw that little bit of extra information out there. But just the routine of it, I just thought, I'm very regular. So I thought if I do that at the same time every day, it will focus me on doing it. And then about 2 weeks later, I was in a pub with a couple of mates, and John Oakes was there, and I'd met John Oakes before, but we didn't really know each other that well. And we were having a conversation about, improv and other stuff that we do. And he's like, "Do you know what? I really want to give stand-up a go." And it was totally unprompted or anything. No one knew that I'd been doing this or whatever. And I was at half cut as well. And I was like, that's a sign. I'm going to book us in a gig now. We'll do our first gig together. And I rang my mate, Math Brown, who runs a brilliant little club up in Kingston. I was like, "Math, I want a gig for me and my mate, 10-minute open spot in 3 months' time. Can you do it?" And he was like, "Yeah, of course, no problem. I'll put you both on." That was the 18th of March, 2013. So once that happened, I was like, obviously I was in a place where I wanted this shit to work because I really wanted to get out of the slump that I was in. So obviously there's a counter argument to say, well, you know, all this stuff probably is coincidence, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you get there. You know, if you're trying this law of attraction thing, the worst that's going to happen is you're just going to think a little bit more positively, and that can't be a bad thing. So yeah, I started to believe it a little bit more, and then, like, you know, put a little bit more effort into the visualizations, a bit more into the vision boards, and the gig went really fucking well, and then the second gig went really well, and then I was like fully immersed in this law of attraction. All these gigs are going to come to me, and I was getting gig offers left, right, and centre, and then I changed my vision board to be a bit more broader about different parts of my life, and I had this like picture of like loads of £50 notes fanned out, and then my cousin come down out of the blue and was like, just gave me a couple of grand in cash readies. Do you know what I mean? Like the same. And I'm like, oh my God, this shit is fucking... No one gives everyone like money in ready.
No.
And so yeah, it was like, it started snowballing like that. And anyway, cut a long story short, 18th of March 2013 was my first gig. And on the 9th of March 2014, less than a year later, I was supporting Russell Kane at the Cliffs in front of 1,600 people.
Yeah.
So I really do believe in this shit, you know.
Do.
And
That's interesting that you. I don't believe in God, but I'm definitely not an atheist. I believe in law of attraction and spiritual ideas, and that we're all connected. I do fully believe that.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting that you believe that also, but you don't have a spiritual outlook at all, or
I think it's the same thing. I believe in energy.
Yeah.
How can you not?
No.
You know, energy is an obvious thing. It exists, and you know, you can feel an energy in a room. You can feel tension in a room. You can feel someone staring at the back of your head. You know, all this.
Yeah.
That's not a coincidence.
We got so many senses that we aren't aware of because our brain's not capable of picking it up.
Yeah, sure. So I think I believe in that energy. I just think, you know, it's how you dress it up, innit? You know, you can say it's energy. Other people will say it's the ghost of their auntie looking over them, and other people will say it's angels. Other people will say it's
just
spirituality, or other people will say it's coincidence or luck. You know, but ultimately, all of that, all the religion, all the miracles that happen in religion, they all follow the same. It's all just, you know, good energy, good.
Yeah.
You put it out there, you bring it back in, and I still find it really difficult. You know, I get it when.
Yeah, you get tested sometimes. Yeah,
and the hardest time to be positive is the times when you really need to do it. You know,
and that is often when it works. Yeah, just foot under the table, just playing with each other's foot. Yeah, like the time that you need the positivity is the hardest time to get it out of yourself, but it's also the most important time, and it probably, you know, it definitely works like 100%.
It just makes you feel a little bit better about things.
Well, and also that, yeah. I mean,
I think, because you just once you start, I think everyone's naturally a bit pessimistic, really, and it's just, I was just a happier person because you're forcing yourself, like when you're having a bad morning or whatever, and then you're driving somewhere and you're late, and it's like you hit a red light and you're like, fuck's sake, red light. Like every light of it is red, and then no, and behold, the next one's red, and you're like, you know what I mean? And
that's just bad, putting the bad energy out.
Exactly, and you know, it's the hardest thing to do when you're in that flustered state. But if you can just go, no, it's right. The next one's green. It's green lights all the way, and truly believe it, you know, and then just see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah, the thing that where we were friends on became friends on Facebook, and then saw each other in a supermarket. That is the law of attraction, right?
Well, I feel like it. You know, I feel like, you know, we must have attracted each other into our lives somehow.
Yeah.
You know, it's just seems a bit weird. You don't even live in Shrewsbury either. You know, that's the other thing. So
no,
the
exactly,
chances of that actually happening
could have gone any supermarket.
It could, you know. I mean, who knows what for? But we're here doing a podcast like 2 years later or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. What was you buying in the supermarket?
I can't remember now. Probably Jeremy Corbyn autobiography or something. I don't know. It was just a bit of shopping, I think. I was going through self-service, so it couldn't have been a lot.
Yeah, well, a few bits then.
Yeah.
Nice. I think I was getting lunch. Maybe a bag of cafetiere coffee.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
What roast?
I like strong as possible.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I said that to you earlier.
Right.
Busy people only drink black coffee.
Yeah,
I don't think nobody would go, I want a milky coffee if they're busy.
No, people who like milky coffee don't like coffee.
Well, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Just fucking ruined it.
Yeah, don't bother.
Do you have a proper Turkish coffee once? I had it in Bahrain, believe it or not Turkey.
No, right.
But like it come out in a little saucepan, do you know what I mean?
Similar to Greek
my
coffee.
God,
They boil it up with the sediment or whatever you want to call it.
Something like that. It was
pour it in.
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It was like a line of coke. That was. I was just like all day buzzing. Amazing coffee.
Yeah.
I like a good coffee.
I do.
Can't quite do the dark roast.
No.
Me and John Oakes used to do that every breakfast show. We'd get this hot lava java. It's called. Have you seen that one? It's a Taylor's one. Like it's in the supermarket, and it's like a roast 7 or something.
Oh God.
And oh mate, and
Killer.
it comes out the same way it goes in.
Yeah, good, right.
Black and liquid.
Yeah, comedians in cars getting coffee. What a program that is.
Yeah, that is
I love
great.
that.
I just think good. Great concept. That.
I just think there is nothing better than watching two comedians talk about comedy.
Yeah.
And Jerry Seinfeld it's so interesting to see his point of view. Or he's like. I love that bit. I just think that is so good. It's so raw and fucking self-indulgent.
Have you heard the Comedian podcast with Stu Goldsmith?
I haven't seen that. Heard it, but I will.
You should definitely listen.
I
to
know. It's on my list. Like many things.
It's Stu's a great podcast, a great bloke, good comedian as well, and yeah, I mean he really. There's some great. I'll tell you a couple of particular ones to listen to. Cool. That are particularly insightful.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean they are just gold for new comedians, particularly. You learn so much from them because it's a real. Frank, it's the only podcast I've seen where it's like rather than just talking about the things you've done and you know what tour you're going on and what TV stuff you're doing.
Yeah, like the usual questions. Yeah,
they really like get into the bones of joke writing and comedy and yeah, really really good.
Have you seen that? I think there's a YouTube channel called Holistic Songwriting or something like that. Something like that. But basically, I might have got that wrong. But basically, the guy analyzes music, so he'll bring up a song and he'll talk about it being a classic, why it's a classic example of this particular artist writing, why it's like that. You know, Bon Iver, for example, and talk about lyrically like how it works. It's so interesting. So, like a comedy version of that is definitely up my street for sure.
Yeah, if you're a comedy nerd, it is that is what you want.
What I'm thinking of doing is because I watch The Office over and over again, or like the same things over and over again, listen to the same podcast, Ricky Gervais podcast, and all that.
Yeah.
So it becomes to the point where I can't really hear why it's funny anymore. It's like become my life, like in my head. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking of doing as an experiment is watching something I've seen a lot. Or maybe something new, and analysing why it's funny to me. I've never done that before. Like to construct why do I think that's funny? What is that because the person's funny, or is it like the situation? What?
I do find it's funny. The more comedy you watch, like I know a lot of comedians are the same as this. Is that, you know you express your laughter in different ways. Does that make sense? Like I don't know. It's I still laugh. Obviously, I laugh loudly. I've got a very infectious laugh, and I enjoy laughing. But when if I'm at a gig and I'm watching like another comedian on stage and he does a really good joke, rather than reacting laughter, I'll tend to just turn to like John and be like, "That was a good joke." You know what I mean? And that's the equivalent of like an applause break. You know?
Yeah.
You're so numb to it, but we're looking at the jokes differently. So
so you're do you watch and analyse?
Not as it happens, but the punchline will come, and if it makes me laugh like naturally, instantly my brain's like, Christ, that's funny because how you've pulled that back round and or you know how you've inserted that callback there. You know when you know about the structure of a joke and the set. Yeah,
that's really interesting. That's great.
The only thing that's made me laugh recently is like properly laugh is Rick and Morty.
Really?
Never watched it, mate, and my mates have been banging on at me for ages to watch it. And I started watching.
I've seen a few. They're quite. Some of them are quite profound, aren't they? Quite profound ideas.
Brilliant, mate. Yeah. That's so well written, and I likened it a little bit to Black Mirror in a way, in that each episode is different, and is an interesting concept. Like makes you think a little bit.
Yeah.
What would happen if I was in that situation? But it's just ridiculous humour, so accessible. And it was the episode with Pickle Rick. Have you seen that?
I've seen that.
Where he turns himself into a pickle.
Yeah, that's mad.
And, like you never laugh on your own, do you? And I was in absolute tears, mate. Absolutely crying.
What I've seen recently, Fleabag. Have you seen that?
No.
You've got to watch that. Yeah, it's really good.
Is it on Netflix, is it?
On BBC iPlayer.
No, I can't watch that. I don't pay TV licence.
Well, that's all right. Just do it illegally.
Nah, because it's the thing, right? I point blank refuse to pay that shit. I don't believe TV detective vans exist, right?
No.
But if I was to get caught because I've literally put in my address,
you'd be fuming.
Signed up and said I have a TV licence when I haven't, and then they knock on
mine.
my door. Your TV licence?
Yeah. Just log in with my password. Watch it. I'll FaceTime it. I'll put it on.
Yeah, do that. Facebook Live it. Have the BBC CID round it.
Yeah, Rick and Morty. I would definitely need to check that out. Yeah, because I know it's profound.
You've got to give it a chance, because I did it. I watched the first 2 episodes. And was like, this ain't for me.
No.
It was like there was something. He burps quite a lot in it where he's drunk. I think like the script had loosely improvised as well. So and like the burping, you know when you hear something and then you can't like unhear it, and it's like, oh no, that's just doing my head in. I switched it off. Yeah. But I went back to it and I thought I'm going to give it at least. They're only 20 minutes long. I'm going to give it 4 episodes. And yeah, by the 3rd, mate, I was hooked, because I'd like watched it with this where I was just ready to laugh rather than sit there and critique it. I was just like, right, make me laugh now. And yeah, I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. It's ridiculous, but I think my brain kind of needs that.
It's like quite adult though, isn't it? It's like ridiculous, but it's very adult.
It's definitely mature content, and you know, there's a lot of like sort of graphic cartoon violence in it and stuff, but I just think it's for all its ridiculousness and its surrealness, it's very cleverly written.
The ones I've seen, I think the same. Yeah, definitely.
And the bloke who wrote, there's 2 blokes that wrote it, and one of them does the voice for Rick and Morty. I mean, how mad is that? That's crazy. Incredible.
He must be fucking mental.
Schizophrenic.
He's got to be fucking insane.
They're so contrasting characters as well, to like have that conversation with yourself. But
do you reckon he's just like constantly talking in his mind between them both in his head?
God, it must drive you mad.
You can't live your life.
I've just been commissioned for 70 odd episodes as well. So
fucking hell.
I think the last 3 seasons there was only like 9 episodes in each, and they've just been commissioned for like 70 episodes.
Oh my God, that's mad. What's your what's your favourite? Well, who's your favourite comedian? Do you have favourites?
I can't do it, you know. I can't. It's like asking a singer, like asking me what my favourite singer is or my favourite song.
Do you have like somebody particular at the moment that you watch a lot of, or not really?
I mean, so big influences for me in comedy. Obviously, you've got different comedians that do very different styles of comedy. You know, so you have to like, you know, there's, you know, I love. Lee Evans is the reason I'm doing it. I watched Lee Evans when I was too young.
He lived up the road from here as well.
Yeah, Chigwell. He was in, and I think he was in Leon C as well. But yeah, I absolutely adored Lee Evans all growing up, and he's definitely the reason I'm doing this. You know, my dad showing me that video was what the reason I'm doing comedy now. But you know, now he was the first person to kind of do this ultra observational comedy to the mainstream. Now, you know, that style of comedy is a bit tired with Michael McIntyre doing it, so it's not like I sit down and watch Lee Evans videos anymore, but he's still a legend of that kind of comedy. Mickey Flanagan, obviously a legend of that kind of comedy, and you know, I'm very fortunate to have met both these people. I see him. Mickey Flanagan gigged for me a couple of times on the way out. My first ever gig had Mickey Flanagan opening it, Lee Hurst closing it. I was 14.
That's mad.
Yeah. And then obviously he went on to the dizzy heights of fame, but I love his nature. And, and then people like Russell Kane as well, one of the most underrated comics, massively like underrated by the average Joe, like the average comedy consumer.
I really like his the rants on Facebook.
The Kane, yeah. I mean, this is another thing. I mean, he's like, you know, bang on. He knows social media marketing, how to market himself, and that, you know, it weren't like his agent told him to do that or he had a production company tell him to do that. That was just his idea of doing stand up at the camera. And that is, you know, been responsible for a huge increase in his ticket sales for his tour.
I can imagine.
But yeah, I mean, him just his the way his writing, mate, is second to none. It really is. Like, he churns out these shows are gold every year. A massive narrative arc to it. Big bow tied on the end, poignant bits, make you think, make you feel, you know, I mean, incredible. And because it's a touring show, you don't buy a ticket to the tour unless you're going to go and see him. You only see segments of what he does on telly. A lot of people remember him for the BBC Three stuff when he first started, where he was sort of put into it, right, you're going to hit the 16 to 25-year-old demographic and wear guy liner and stuff like that. And then he came away from that because he knew that, you know, stand-up is what he wanted to go. And ultimately, 16 to 25-year-olds don't buy fucking tickets to comedy shows. They wait outside and want you to sign autographs for them.
I remember he played, well, he did a gig at my school, at Cecil Jones.
Oh, did it? Oh, yeah, I remember with Sadie, actually, wasn't it?
That was crazy. Like, they actually, like, Mr. Cook, I know him as Steve Cook's, like, was a teacher there, and friends with Russell, and he played. It's bizarre, and then I thought, oh my god, this seems mad.
I had him doing a gig at Shoebury High School not so long ago as well, actually, for like the business project or something.
That's great, yeah.
But yeah, so him, I think he's a phenomenal joke writer, and he's been very good to me as well since I started comedy. And then on the other side of the pond, people like like Eddie Murphy, Delirious and Raw, incredible. Dave Chappelle, phenomenal comedian. Bernie Mac, even further back than that. Big fan of the sort of like, Def Jam American comedy.
Yeah. So like quite like an original, like
Bill Burr as well. Actually, I must say Bill Burr.
Yeah.
He's the only comic I love all these comedians, but I've never likened myself to any of them. I don't liken myself to Bill Burr really, but he is the way I don't know how to explain it. The way he delivers his comedy and his joke writing and the topics he talks about and how he can talk about, topics like sex and religion and stuff like that, and still like dress it up in a way that it is so funny you have to laugh at it and then question whether you should have done afterwards.
Yeah.
That's where I'd like to be,
I see. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, like it must be. I suppose it's like with anything really creative, you've got to be patient, I suppose, with like getting the material that you want to find what's out there, like in the ether.
You've got
to wait for it to come and not get too like frustrated about it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, exactly. I say this a lot to I've never been out there looking for this. Like I don't seek out the joke that's gonna be my out or whatever. I just feel like the jokes tend to fall into my lap anyway, and then if they work, they work. If they don't, they don't. And I truly believe that one day, a joke will come that's like the next level. There's already, jokes in my first 10 that I was doing for like over a year or 2 years or whatever. Bankers in that set that I thought that were my biggest, funniest jokes, and I could never imagine ever dropping them out of a set. And now
they're gone.
They're gone, mate.
That's
they're
crazy,
finished because other jokes are funnier.
Progression, yeah.
You've grown a little bit,
opinions change. You want to talk about different stuff.
Life changes for me. It's having a baby. You level up once that happens, and that's the majority of your life. That's where most of your material comes from, and then you connect with people on a different level. It was actually Russell who said to me when I first started, he was like, he knows my dad, and my dad's he's a character, and he said, I bet you got loads of material on your dad and that growing up. And I was like, I ain't got nothing on him. And he was like, it's because you're still new. You're still like, I wrote a joke. One day you'll just start talking about you and your life, and that's when the game will change. And it's totally true. It started with my daughter 3 years ago. That was when, the jokes that were coming out were just so much better. Because I'm telling them
authentic.
Yeah, I'm telling them with total conviction
and
because
truth.
they're true to my life, and everyone can sense that in a room.
Yeah. That's good, isn't it? When people are laughing at your life.
So weird, isn't it? So weird. No wonder that we're all depressed.
What's the weirdest place you've ever done a gig?
Oh fucking hell, mate! How long have you got? Oh god. I've done some pretty weird gigs, mate. I've done gigs in fields. I've done gigs in like fucking warehouses,
different
cupboards
countries.
In the back of rooms. Yeah, Bahrain. That was a pretty weird gig.
What was that like?
Well, fucking awful, mate. I mean, it was a great experience, but it's Bahrain, and I'm just some skinny twat from Essex.
What kind of people was there?
It was funny actually. So Bahrain is like the Vegas of the Middle East. There's one road from Saudi Arabia into Bahrain, and it's like all around it everything's illegal, like drinking, cinema, fucking everything. Comedy, yeah. And then but in Bahrain, gambling and alcohol and all that like, is legal. You're still not allowed to be drunk on the street, but you can go and buy alcohol, you can gamble and God knows what other sort of sordid activities you might want to get up to. And we got booked to go over there. Myself, a good friend and comedians, Paul Pirrie and Mike Shear, one Scottish, one Canadian, and they built it as this, an Englishman, Scotsman and a Canadian. And we were staying in that. It was all expenses paid. They paid for the flights. We didn't earn great money out of the gig, but, it was a free holiday, basically. Yeah. Out there for a couple of days. And then we had 2 gigs, one in the hotel that we were in, this English bar downstairs. And I've done a bit of research. There's a lot of expats over there, a lot of British people that go out and live in Bahrain. And there's actually one of the big comedy, I think the Stand do a big comedy sort of institution. They put gigs on out there, like proper, the regular gigs. And this was I think they were just testing it out. So the first gig, there was one table of 6 from Grimsby. And the rest of the audience were made up of Saudis in the full get-up.
Wow.
With questionable looking ladies of the night with them.
Yes.
And
questionable or nice
they were brasses, mate. They were fucking brasses. Definitely. I can't say for definite, but they were brasses. Yeah. And do you know what the funniest thing that I took from that? I did the first gig. Grimsby loved it because, you know, they've obviously not had an English comedian in their area for a little while, so they were really enjoying it. And
What do they do? What were they doing there?
They lived there. They were like expats, so they lived in the area and heard the comedy night was on and come down. Like, they went to town on the PR. When we turned up, mate, there was like a welcome committee and they had like a tray of these like dates that grow on the trees outside. They had our pictures on their fucking T-shirt. I'm not joking. It was the most surreal thing in the world. And then we got into the bar and like, we've been introduced to the manager of the whole hotel and his assistant, and they're all following us around and giving us the tour. Offered us, what would you like to drink? I was like, I'll have a pint of lager or whatever. And my mate was like, I'll have a pint of Guinness. They come over with a picture of each. So we've got like pictures of it, all for free. It was unbelievable. The food was incredible. The gigs were fucking shit. So yeah, anyway, we've done this gig. And the best part of it was that the Saudis were like looking over to Grimsby to see when to laugh, and then like,
No way.
And I was like, imagine if that shows a difference in our cultures. Because if you had a Saudi geezer turn up at the Comedy Store at midnight on a fucking Friday in Leicester Square, London, with a full get up, talking in his own tongue, he would get lynched, mate. Not literally, Christ. No, you know, but no, it would not go well.
It would not go well.
So yeah, they were nice. And then the second gig was just horrific, and I'll tell you for why. Right, so we're in the Middle East, and obviously in you know, troubles are happening. Yeah. My mum was scared about me going
Well,
on
it's a
that
scary
trip.
fucking place to go.
Yeah, well, it's not really. There's nothing happening in Bahrain.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the conception is it's frightening, but I can imagine it ain't.
My mum's from the generation where, you know, they tend to believe a lot of what they read in the papers, and it's a scary place for her son to go, you know. So they were scared because of the people that live there, right?
Yeah.
Wrongly so, but that's why they were scared. I went to the second gig we done was at another hotel owned by the same group, and just around the corner from this place was an army naval base.
Right.
So this was like a Chicago's. We've walked in this place and the music's pumping, the dance floor's full, more of these ladies of the night knocking about, and just American squaddies, Marines everywhere. Right, and we've walked in. They've gone, "Oh, you're here." Got the DJ to just turn the music off.
No way.
Dance floor cleared. Everyone's like looking around like that. Comedy starts.
Oh God.
So I'm like doing the best at flogging this fucking dead horse. I'm like trying to like round people up. I've like, there's one old geezer that's got like 5 20-year-old Filipino women around him, and it's like, and I've been told right before I walk on stage, don't say anything about prostitutes or anything. No one can know that they're prostitutes. But what do you mean no one can know? Like, everyone he's not...
Everyone knows.
He doesn't even look as good as Hugh Hefner does. I mean, he was a shriveled old ball bag. But like, so yeah, I've gone on and like one of these squaddies has shouted out like something, I can't remember what it was, and I've like sort of took the piss out of him a bit and been like, "Oh, shut up, you fucking steroid head," or whatever. Like his mates were, "Oh, he burned you, dude." And then Paul Perry's gone out, who's Scottish, and he's like trying to do this gig, and they're just disrespecting him and shouting things out. So Paul's just lost it with one of them, and like, "Go fuck yourself. What are you, 17?" Like this like young kid, he was massive out here. I was like, "Well, you fucking 17, I'm coming to do a job and you want to heckle me." I'd say, "Well, fuck you, and fuck this gig." And he chucks the mic on the floor, comes off. Mike Shear goes up, and Mike Shear's Canadian, so he's got a bit of common ground there already, and he actually nails it, manages to break them down and gets them. And then at the end, like it's like 5 squaddies have got to hold this other Marine back because he wants to come and fucking beat us up. And he's coming, "You fucking talk about me like that, you fucking come on." He's just like going mad at us. And like, and his mates come and go, "Look, I'm really sorry about him." And I was like, "You fucking should be sorry." Because my family was scared about me coming on this trip because of the people that live here.
But it's you.
And the only grief we've had has been from fucking American squaddies that shouldn't even be here in the first place.
Yeah, right. What one thing would you change about politics?
Christ. I mean, God. Just God. No, I'm joking.
Get God involved, or politics, or society.
Do you know what I think? And this is going to sound like a real, like, oh, rad man sort of thing to say, but I think the one thing that we should change about British politics is our drug laws. I think our drug laws need to change.
Yes.
Specifically, talking about cannabis.
Yeah.
I feel like it's that plant. Not just through smoking it and getting stoned and whatever else, it's got so many uses, benefits. You used to build houses with it, mate. You know, this crazy, stuff is some strong hemp shit going on.
Yeah, cream is already used.
Yeah, cream. I mean, CBD oil is massive now.
Cool. Yeah, it's only going to get bigger.
And the amount of revenue that can be made from it, that can be put back into like educating kids about drugs.
Yeah, it's I just can never understand how something can grow out the floor and they decide that's illegal. Like, how can it's fucking grow? It's like a tree. It's like an oak tree or something.
Well, this is what I mean. I think it's at the end of the day, you lose the argument about keeping cannabis illegal when alcohol is so freely available.
Of course.
I truly believe that. I think it's one of the biggest mug-offs in the world.
It's one of the biggest cons, yeah.
How we can just be how it can be so normal that, you know, you could literally turn 18 tomorrow, go into a newsagent's with £10, buy a litre of vodka
and die.
And drink that and die there and then. If you wanted to, you could do that. And kids do it.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people die every year through drinking.
Yes.
And these people that say that that's okay are sitting there going, you can't get stoned.
No. Again, it's what people are told, isn't it? It's like I am pretty sure I'm right in saying the thing that gives people psychosis with smoking cannabis is the chemicals that are used to make it grow quicker.
Yeah, no. I mean, the chemicals and that they obviously make it stronger, and that can just cause like this dopiness that that is so synonymous with people that smoke weed. But ultimately, a lot of what it can do is reignite a pre-existing mental health issue, and the problem is that you don't always know that you've got one.
Right. Well, that's like like ecstasy, for example. A lot of people die of heart attacks, but they've all got underlying heart issues.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
like I don't do drugs at all, but not doing it, I've been around plenty of people that have. It's like it just seems that you should be able to go to the doctors and have a test, and it will tell you if you're going to die if you take it. Do you know what I mean? It's just like,
well, this is the trouble, because it's the culture that we grew up in was just a blanket, just don't do it. You know what I mean? Drugs are bad, they'll kill you.
It's a gateway drug. If you do that, you'll do heroin.
Yeah, there's no information around it. Right. And I use Leah Betts as a good example. She was like the for want of a better term of phrase, the poster girl for not taking drugs back in the 90s.
Right.
Because this massive influx of ecstasy at that time, the police didn't know what to do, how to control it. So when she passed away, they were like, right, let's get her in. And her parents campaigned and stuff, and that horrible image that sticks with people. But the reality is, she died because she drank too much water.
Which is, there's not much. Well, there's none. Probably. Well, you can find it online, but not much education. Yeah, that it should be like, there's this thing at music festivals where you can go and get your gear tested.
Yeah, exactly. And it should be. And people that are opposing that are mental, because at the end of the day, people are going to take drugs. It doesn't. No matter how much you tell them not to,
they'll do it.
People will do it. Yeah. It's always there.
Yeah. Specifically natural ones. It does not make sense that it's like oil, like farming for oil under the sea. Yeah. Like that's ours. Well, how can that be yours?
Exactly.
Fucking, you just said that. Yeah, you can't just. So it just seems mad.
I just think, like, with the state of the economy and everything else, if it was controlled, legalised and regulated, the amount of, I mean, we're literally talking billions here in money that could be generated, that can then go into
shipping it out also.
Projects to like, engage youth in politics, to teach them more about drugs, to have more centres, more academies, more youth clubs. All we're doing is knocking them down. When, things like that. Imagine if weed was paying to, like. And it's like, I'm not saying that because I smoke a bit of it. It's just I think it seems like common sense to me.
Well, it does. I think a lot of people are waking up to that. Surely,
they have to be. At the end of the day, when you look at these countries all around the world, and America are not the biggest one in the world stage, where 20 odd states now where it's legal.
I'm going to San Francisco in November, and I'm going to. It's actually my honeymoon.
Oh, is it? Nice.
So.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's the only reason I said it, for recognition. But I want to go to a dispensary and see what it's like. I think that would be like a mind-blowing experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, like when I first went to Amsterdam, it's just like, it's madness, isn't it? You've got a menu with it all on there.
Crazy.
And I can pick it out and smell it, and they weigh it and put it on the things and stuff.
It seems so like it just seems like more normal.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, people, it's not like it's been legal in Amsterdam for donkey's years. People aren't falling under buses and stuff.
No.
It's the tourists that go over there and drink too much and then end up
ride
fighting
a bike into a canal.
Yeah. But like, it's like anything, anything in moderation. I'm not saying that weed is right for everyone.
No.
Just like drink isn't right for everyone.
No, or people are allergic to fucking dairy.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying that you should, get it and smoke it every day, or whether kids should smoke it. I'm saying you should have the same sort of laws around protecting kids like alcohol does, and the same sort of age restrictions and everything.
What do you think the reason it is illegal? Well, one of the reasons is tobacco industry, because they brought the tobacco industry to sort of, and then they had to like kill cannabis because
there's lots of theories as to why it was.
What do you
think? Was made illegal. I tend to think
the hippie the real opinion.
The real, I think it's I think people that smoke weed, well, weed, not just weed, but take a pill, take acid or whatever drug it is. It opens your mind a bit, and it really does, and that sounds wanky, but unless you've actually experienced it, it's hard to explain what I mean by that. And I feel like it was what I heard was through Howard Marks, who's he's dead now, but he wrote a book called Mr. Nice, and he was like, he's been arrested for more cannabis-related crimes than anyone else in history, smuggled more of it than ever, but he was also an Oxford graduate, very intelligent bloke. From the Welsh valleys, and spent a lot of his later years doing like seminars and stuff about his life. And the book Mr. Nice is very, very good. And he said that the reason it was made illegal was because years ago opium was this massive thing, right? And hash hadn't really been anywhere else in the world other than the Middle Eastern places. So they had this summit with all the world's leaders about opium, to say, we've got to make this illegal because people are losing their minds. Opium obviously being a derivative of heroin. So the guy from Egypt, the world leader of Egypt, the leader of Egypt, stood up and was like, well, if you're going to make opium illegal, you've got to make hashish illegal, because hashish... And then he painted it to be like this... There's some old artwork that you can see from it, like it'd bring you out in boils and it'd make you murder your family, and it was like really like the most evil, heinous things you can think of. So they're all like, well, yeah, fucking hell, get rid of that as well. And it's never been reviewed since.
No.
There's lots of other reasons. Like, again, I feel like there might have been a part of where people are like, well, we don't want them having that much free thinking and open minds. So let's keep it back a bit. Alcohol's a depressant, right? And weed is a stimulant, so there's that.
It's interesting to like get your head, because I find it impossible. Like, you know what my politics is. So yeah, I believe that to be true. But I still can't imagine a conversation occurring where they'd be like, right, let's shut them down. Like, I still kind of can't, even though I believe that, I can't actually imagine it, because it's just so unbelievable, I suppose.
It is,
so they're literally, you think that they're trying to shut us down from...
I think they don't want too many people like being all open-minded and questioning things. That's one of the main things that weed makes you do, just makes you rationalise a little bit and just... some people smoke it and then go into these wormholes on YouTube of conspiracy theories and everything else, and other people use it to create art. Other people use it to relax. But ultimately, what it does is it just makes you a little bit more free-thinking and open-minded.
Yeah, right. That's probably definitely one thing I'd change about politics or society.
I think not just because yay drugs, but because I just think like with regulation, you take all that money out of the criminals' hands, you put it back into the system. And what they do with that money, obviously they wouldn't put it into the stuff they should put it into. But
of course, but I mean, if you can, like people like us, like the moment it's legal is the moment I think, right, I'm going to try and make some money out of this and do some good with the money.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, it just, to me, it feels like a no-brainer. Washington has made it legal. That's where the president lives.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, that is. Definitely, that's got to be up there, certainly. But like mushrooms, for example. I've never done that, but I would do. I haven't done any drugs, but I would do psychedelics.
Yeah, again, they're natural, aren't they?
Yeah, anything that grows out of the floor, surely is fine, isn't it?
And they are like a different level of mind opening as well.
Yeah.
That's like. I didn't want to talk too much. I've tried them, obviously. I've been to Amsterdam where they're legal, and I've had, the truffles out there and stuff. And like that experience is mind blowing. Never mind my opening. Like when everyone's got an idea of what to expect with hallucinogens and stuff like that. But until you actually experience it, your brain is just this incredible lump of goo, mate, like with thousands of millions of buttons on it. And in your everyday life, you're only pushing 5 or 6 of them buttons. There's a button in that brain that turns everything purple. Do you know what I mean? So you take a mushroom and all of a sudden it's like boom, everything's purple now. You're like, whoa. And that there is like it's that
in itself is
so like almost overwhelmingly so. You can't comprehend what's going on in front of you. Do you know what I mean?
The thing about the only thing holding me back from doing it, well, one, it's illegal, so I don't want to get arrested. 2 is that I'm already open-minded to that anyway, so I'm thinking, oh God, if I crack into that, what am I going to do?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, everyone's different, and I think it's you know, again, I wouldn't recommend doing anything mind altering if you've got any kind of like, you know, issue, you know, anxiety, depression, stuff like that. Particularly mushrooms, because they can make you sort of go inside your own head a little bit, and you cannot have a nice time. But and the same with cannabis as well. Cannabis don't, you know, like alcohol don't agree with everyone. Cannabis don't agree with everyone. It's not like this miracle drug that if everyone took it, they'd be all right. You know, some people will have 2 puffs and be throwing up and feel horrendous. Some people get like right inside their head again and feel all paranoid and horrible. But you know, some people drink a vodka Red Bull and then go and knock someone out because it makes them angry.
Yeah, or glass someone, or threaten to glass them in a comedy club.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, you rarely see stoners doing that, mate.
No, I mean they can't be bothered. 2, you've got other shit to be thinking about.
Unless there's 1 pack of Jaffa cakes left in the garage. It's going down, mate.
Is that Jaffa cake your option of your option?
Anything sweet. I'm not so bad these days, but my teeth are ruined through the amount of sugar that I put in them. Yeah. And then I spent the whole of Christmas with the most horrific toothache, and now I'm like off sugar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll still dabble in it.
Still dabbling. Yeah.
You know, it'd be rude not to, wouldn't it? But nowhere near like I used to. Yeah, Galaxy was my thing. I used to smash big bars of Galaxy.
Caramel or standard?
All of it, all of the above, mate.
Whisper Gold. That's what
they were good, yeah, but I weren't a fan of like the aero-y.
You think you're losing out.
Yeah, and this is a bit controversial. I'm not really a big fan of Cadbury's chocolate. If I'm
honest.
Not?
No, why? Too sweet.
It tastes a bit too sweet. Yeah. Galaxy was more velvety. They used to do these things. They don't do them anymore. Galaxy caramel swirls. Do you remember them?
Oh, I do know.
They were in the little packets. Yeah.
I like a minstrel.
Fucking amazing. Oh yeah, I like a minstrel as well.
There was this company that I see all these business ideas all the time, and I'm like, fuck me, I'm jealous of that. But there's one in particular where it, like, basically for Americans.
Yeah.
That like it's a British company that sell chocolate. And it's British chocolate, and they ship it out to America. And the geezer was making a fucking fortune. But they made it illegal in the end. But it was like
over here, you can subscribe to like the American boxes and get all their stuff, and their stuff's like ridiculous sugar.
It was like £100 like for a month.
What?
Yeah, and he's sending out like 10 Snickers.
Oh my God, we're in the wrong job, mate.
I know, yeah.
Sorry, I just got to text my co-host. I'm supposed to be at the radio right
That's
now.
good. I like that.
Running.
I like that. He should do his proper job. This is just a side thing. I mean, this could be promotion. Do you know what I mean? This could be fake.
I'm not messing about, mate. That's why I've got the Jack Duckworth on. Look at that.
Yeah. I like them. Like you say, you can watch TV lying down well.
Yeah. That is the only good thing about it.
What's he saying? Is he fuming? Where are you?
No, he's not fuming. No, he's just. I mean, he's on his way to the studio, so I sort of, didn't. I mean, I love talking about myself. I should have known this would happen, shouldn't I?
Yeah. I mean, well, and that almost 2 hours in.
2 hours, fucking hell. It's like the Joe Rogan podcast.
It is, but not as good.
No, it's all subjective, isn't it?
Just a bit longer hair.
Yeah.
We touch on the same things.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm not quite on my 1700th episode yet.
Yeah, and I'm not Elon Musk either.
The Elon Musk episode, mate, is unbelievable.
Fucking terrifying, mate.
Brian Cox.
Yeah, brilliant.
But Elon Musk episode is the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
Somebody that smokes weed.
Well, yeah, he did have a smoke. That was hilarious. And
that was
his
mad.
like advisors and that texting him, blowing
like,
his phone up. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, but
I love him.
One of the most intriguing, interesting, and equally terrifying 2 hours I've ever listened to.
Isn't it so crazy how matter of fact he is? Do you know, like Joe Rogan goes, "Can you do that?" And he goes, "Yeah, we could make a hovering plane."
He's got to be on the spectrum, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, maybe I'm being out of line saying that. I don't know, but I feel like he's got to be on the spectrum a little bit.
Certainly,
that kind of matter of factness.
Yeah, it's like it kind of comes across as arrogance, but it's not. It's just like because he knows so much, it feels obvious.
And there's no bullshit in anything he's saying.
No.
There's no like tangents or spinning off topic. Every question Joe asked him, there was like a second pause.
Yeah, and then
where he takes in what he's just been asked and then gives the answer for that question. And
his mind
it's almost like he's a robot, and people say that there's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
I don't believe that, obviously, but that was one of the terrifying things he said. He was like, you don't realise how close we are to giving a robot free thought, and once we do that, we're fucked.
We're fucked. Yeah, he's like, it's already happened.
They'll be more intelligent than we ever will be because they've got the internet plugged in.
His like brain is just so theoretical.
I haven't used the self-service checkout since.
Anything right.
Technology, just don't.
Mate, it's crazy. Yeah, don't look at anything because they'll see your face. Yeah, listen to Joe Rogan, Elon Musk after this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's good if you want to be absolutely ruined by that.
If you want to.
Robots are coming.
But you won't learn about what it is to be a comedian on that.
No, you
know what I
won't. No, they talk about it a bit, but that's American comedians. That's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're the true breed.
Yeah.
Let's see what John Oakes is saying.
What's he saying? Read it out.
Oh, me too. See you there, mate. No rush. Kiss.
All right. So we've got another hour then.
No rush. There is a rush. We've actually got to be on the air. You know what I mean? I love that. He's like so blasé about it.
Yeah, no rush.
Yeah, don't worry. There'll just be silence when our show starts. Don't worry about that.
Or great pop music.
Yes, pop music is a hit music channel for Essex.
Maybe do a plug now. Say what time how people can listen.
All right, yeah. So myself and John Oakes, who's another comedian and actor, improviser, we present.
Don't big him up too much.
No, I won't. He's shit at all of it. We do a radio show on Radio Essex Monday to Thursday. It's called Hits and Giggles.
It's funny.
Thanks, mate. It's basically a podcast with music in it, and then we whittle that down into the Just the Giggles podcast, which is just like the best bits, and that's downloadable from all the places you get podcasts from. And we've got a Facebook page, facebook.com/Ross and John, and we put all the episodes up there.
It's really funny. I like the different pictures you use for the videos.
Oh God, yeah! I'll put a rod for my own back.
Yeah, that's killer, isn't it?
That's super funny. Them videos.
Yeah, they're really good, but fuck me, I bet that's a pain in the arse.
It takes me just as long to edit the 3-hour podcast down into 30 minutes
bet.
as what it does to do a 50-second video.
Killer. But that's rewarding, though. I reckon when you get a good one. Oh, yeah.
It's like anything. You just get in the zone of it, don't you? You know, like you just sit there. Like it's quite funny because you're looking for the pictures to match the words, and then every now and again you see a picture and that's hilarious, and you put that in.
It's good, yeah.
But like when you're churning out a podcast a week, it's like it's a bit
hard.
much.
Yeah.
The backlog I've got at the moment makes me want to cry.
Yeah, I bet. And the best voice on that is, of course, your daughter.
Oh, mate, yeah. She's just incredibly more popular and better at comedy than I will ever be. Yeah.
I think we'll just end on that.
Yeah, nice. Thanks,
cheers for
mate.
doing it, mate.
Mate, I've had a lovely time. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. No Stress podcast.
No stress.
Or it's probably quite stressful, especially if you get threatened at a comedy gig. Yeah,
just smoke a spliff, mate. You can't be right down.
Be legal soon anyway. Cheers for doing that, mate.
Well, it was my pleasure, mate. A lovely time. Thank you.
It's very nice to talk.
That's what Bob Hoskins said.
What's that?
That's what Bob Hoskins said. Good to talk.
Good to talk.